Welcome everybody to tonight's seller webinar. It just hit 8:30 Eastern time. I hope everybody is having a good week, a good day. I hope it's good weather wherever you are. I personally am very excited about the webinar we're about to host, mostly because I get to watch it. I am not the one talking most of this webinar. We have a very special guest with us. I am also actually on my wife's MacBook right now because I forgot my computer at the office. I forgot we had the webinar tonight when I got home. So I am not a Mac person at all. Stephanie is. I am a PC person. So there's a chance I click a button here and things go haywire on me. But I am on a Mac for like the first time in a decade. What's up, Sandy? What's up, Shirley? So one thing I'm going to mention before I bring up our special guest is we are going to be recording this as well tonight, and we are going to post the recording on the Help Center. So for anyone who wants to watch this later, any new makers in the future who want to learn how to use Canva to make their banners, hopefully this webinar is going to help them. So I haven't started recording yet, but I am going to record soon. And the one thing I ask is that we will answer questions at the end of this. Feel free to ask questions throughout it, but Steph is not going to monitor the chat group right now. She's going to focus on just doing a straight webinar for those who are watching this later. And at the end, we'll answer all the questions at once. So if you have any questions, post the questions in the chat. I'm going to keep track of the questions. And then at the end of the webinar, we'll open it up to all those questions and we'll get those answers. So without further ado, I want to introduce everybody here to someone that you see all the time in the group. And say hello to Stephanie Romke.
Hi, guys.
What's up, Steph?
How's everyone doing?
Me and you, just the two of us in front of the world right now. Look at this. We got 4,200 viewers at once. We're all going to watch this. This might become the most popular webinar.
Okay.
Oh, is that your daughter?
Yeah. Someone just snuck out of bed, of course. She's saying hi to John. Can't see you, honey.
Oh, hey, what's up, girl? Which one is it?
Stand up. All right, go back into bed. Hi. Go back into bed, please. Back into bed, please.
Johnny. Hi.
Sorry about that.
I'll stall. We'll talk amongst ourselves. We can put her to bed. Has Daryl got her?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. We all live in a work from home world right now. So anyways, everyone knows I'm just teeing this up a little bit. In the last webinar, I did a lot around the new banners that you saw in MOSAIC. Got another little blondie here.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Can you go back to bed, please?
Hi, I'm inside the computer.
Back to bed, please.
Was that the same one?
No.
So, for those who know, Stephanie has twins. So that was actually a different girl who just came in to say hi to me. All right. So as I was saying, we launched the new banners for MOSAIC, but of course you also have your regular shop banners and your logo. And there's a lot of places that you can create your banners, and there's a lot of different options out there for like Photoshop and things like that. But I think one of the most popular ones we continue to hear about, see about, and probably the most affordable one is Canva. So while I mentioned Canva a lot, it's not because we're sponsored by Canva. It's just a good tool that we think is cost effective and easier to use. So that's why tonight Steph's going to take some time to present Canva to you and how you can create banners, logos, and imagery for your website, whether it's the regular goimagine shop or MOSAIC or both. You're going to be able to do this. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and click record. Where is it? Oh, does the Mac not let me record? hold on. YouTube. Hold on. I wanted to record it. I record these all the time. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Yeah, I suppose I can't. I'll figure it out later. So let's go ahead. Actually, no, you know what? It's going on YouTube, so I'll be able to rip it off YouTube later, and then I'll be able to create. I'm going to use some hack magic later and get this thing ripped off. So without further ado, this might be the worst intro ever for you, Steph. I'm going to leave this webinar right now and come back later and pass you on to Steph to talk a little bit about Canva, take it away, Steph.
Okay, so the first thing we probably want to go over is just our image guidelines, which are the top banner is the same for both MOSAIC and for your regular marketplace shop, just for ease of use. Can everyone see my screen? Yes, right? Okay. If you go into the help section, we do have this image guidelines here. It has, these graphics up top, but it also has it written out so that you can get the exact dimensions and pixels. Hold on, I gotta move the screen here. And then I just wanted to go over a couple of banner tips before we get into the Canva thing. This will help you either way, whether you're doing your top banner or your promo banners at the bottom of the screen. Its principles are roughly the same. You want to make sure that your branding is very apparent in your top banner. If you have a MOSAIC site, your logo will be at the top as well, same as with a marketplace site. But it doesn't necessarily have to have a product, but it does have to have the feeling of your shop. So for Fancy Nancy, this is, a beach-themed shop with knitting. We tried to use something that was beach-themed with knit, preferably a lifestyle shot or a group shot of products versus a collage of products, but whatever works for you will suffice product-wise. I did pull a couple of shops that had some good banners. So Jack Pine Home does a really good job of not necessarily showing product, but not necessarily showing the whole product. So this is something that could be used all year round, regardless of how her products are changing in her shop. This is another really good one where it's jewelry. You can tell it's jewelry based on the image in the top, but it's not necessarily a product that may or may not go in and out of stock in your shop. You can use, the detailed products would be down here in your shop, so you don't necessarily need them in your banner. This is another good example of something that's not product-based, but still gets the feel across that matches the products. In this case, it's more of an earthy feel, which goes with the stone and polymer clay jewelry that the green bead offers. And then this is another good one of not using product, but still getting the reusable, natural, eco-friendly feeling for the eco-friendly products in this shop as well. Now, if we want to go into Canva, am I going too fast, or is this John still there? Maybe.
Yep, I'm still here. I think the speed is fine.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so quick Canva tutorial here. It's really easy to use, but like anything else, there may be a small learning curve based on what you're used to and what you've done in the past. The great thing about Canva is that you can upload your own images, or you can use stock images that they've provided for you. So I usually start by creating my own size. And by the way, I'm using the free version of Canva, which I think for most of you would be sufficient. There is a paid version, which gives you a little extra features like saving your branding colors, updating, uploading your logos and this, that, and the other thing that you could potentially share with another teammate or someone that may be working on banners for you. You also have access to a lot of premium images that are not necessarily available in the free version. But that being said, there's very comparable images in the free version that if paying for a subscription is not in your budget right now, I wouldn't stress about it at all. Okay. So I like to start by creating a custom size. It's right up here in the right-hand corner. You can use templates, however, with goimagine, because our sizes are slightly different than existing sizes that Canva has. It's best to use a custom size, especially if you're using the free version, because you can't resize afterwards. I guess that's another thing for the pro version, if you want to be able to resize in mid-design. So you just type in the dimensions. In the case of our banners, they're 3,000 by 728 for the top banner. And that'll give you a canvas, if you will. The good thing about this too is you can add another page, so you can work on 2 banners at the same time. If that's something you want to do, you can, also make different versions of the same banner. So if you want to try something but not lose your design, you can make a second one similar. Over here on the left-hand side is where you'll find all of your elements and all of your text options, and an area to upload your own images. So if you do upload your images, the good thing is in the free and the pro version, the majority of them stay. I think with the free version, you'll hit a limit at some point of how many you can keep in there. But they do transfer from project to project. So if you have, a background like this brick background, for example, that you want to use on multiple projects, it'll be in your library of uploads. So if we were going to upload an image, you can upload here with this purple button, and then you can search and find the images you want to use. So in this case, we'll just pick this one. It's still uploading. See, we're not the only ones that have a slow site today. Okay. So once you have an image uploaded or picked from their library, I can show you that in a second, you can just drag it onto your screen and you can resize it however you need to resize it. The good thing about Canva is it'll resize the edge, but you can still position the image if it's larger than your space simply by double clicking on it. So you can drag it, figure out how you want to place it. That looks good. And then you're set. If you wanted to use an image that they had in their library, if you click on elements, you can search up here with the search bar. So let's just say we're searching for plants. And it'll give you, not only will it give you images, it will also give you graphics. And their new thing is animated and video. So if you want to weed out any of the video stuff or anything that you may not use, you can use the filters right next to the search bar. And you can sort by color. So if you know that, you want something blue or you want something green, or if your brand color is pink, you can sort by that. You can also sort by orientation, which in this case for a banner, we'd most likely want a horizontal image. And then you can turn on or off the animation. So it'll give you video clips, or a static image would be, a single picture, which is what we want for a banner. And then you can apply, and here are all our lovely images. Anything with a crown next to it is a pro feature only. So that would be an image that you'd need the pro account for. But if you click it, the little pro area, sometimes it gives you suggestions. Apparently it's not going to give me a suggestion for this one. Sometimes when you click them, they give you suggestions based on similar items. Might be because I have too many filters on. There we go. So see, it has recommendations based on this pro image, and there's at least one that's free. can click see all. It'll give you a couple more that are similar to that image. And you can find one. This one's free. As soon as you click an image in the library over here, it will add it to your screen. You can resize, delete, get rid of however you choose. Let's choose this one for now. So here's another example of resizing. And then if we want to move the image around, say we only want the leaf, double click the inside of your image, and then you can drag it up, down, left, right, however you want it to fit. Once you have the background you like, then you can add, text or any other images that come from these libraries. Say I wanted to add this flower, we could put that flower on there. However you want to do it. Text is also a pretty cool feature. You can simply do a plain text box, or they have all of these formatted texts that you could use. So for example, if I clicked this, having a sale, that's already done for me. No need to worry about it. You can change the color at the top of the screen here. It'll bring up your palettes. If you know your brand's hex color, you can put it in at the top here in the top left. You can change both, all. If you use one of these elements from the library, you can also edit the text simply by double clicking it and put in whatever you want. So if you want that to say shop, we can make this say handmade. I can type. You can also resize it. So just because it's shown in one way doesn't mean you can't edit it in another way. Of course, it's stacking now, but perfect. So that was a formatted text. If you want to not use one of these formatted texts, there's plenty of them too, like a glowing version, lots of effects. If you were going to add simple text, you can drag to adjust the sizing, but also at the top is like a regular formatting bar that you see in any other word processing program. And you can type your text. And then same thing, you can change the color, do whatever you need to do here. The thing with text that I recommend is if you're typing in your shop name, say you don't have a logo and you're using the text to use your shop name, you'll want to make sure that it's not giant. It doesn't fill up the entire banner, but it's big enough to read from any size screen. If you have a tagline, that's also something great that you can add to a banner. It's a perfect spot for a tagline. That is something that should be a lot smaller than your logo. So if you have, regardless if you have a logo or if you're just using text from Canva just typed out, your logo or your shop name should always be the largest thing in your banner. From there, you can use over here on the left-hand side, they give you options for heading, subheading, and body text. In the instance of a banner, you most likely will not use the body text, but the subheading would be perfect for a tagline or anything of that nature. I'm hoping that makes sense. What did I miss? Uploads, elements.
Steph, while you're here,
yeah.
One thing that you often have told me, and I've learned a little bit of this stuff just watching you over the years, is can you talk more about choosing the colors, choosing the fonts, and something that I think I've learned from you is you've said in the past to me, like, don't be afraid of blank space, because I think a lot of makers, and I've been like this as well, you want to grab someone's attention. So you do all bright colors, you make it crazy, you do big bold fonts, and you try almost like you want to come out of the screen and rip the customer in. But that can almost work against you sometimes, right? You kind of want to be sometimes a little more. So can you talk more about kind of that, choosing the fonts, the colors, and things like that?
Sure. So the color is, I would say, about 50% of your branding. If you make something that is, organic and sustainable and all natural, you probably want to stay away from reds or, bright pinks or bright jarring colors. Think about it as something that will also match your products. So for an all natural shop, you'd want to stick with natural colors such as greens or neutrals. Grays or whites would be good. Beiges would be good. Anything of that nature. And in theory, you would want to keep it clean. So here, let's put one together here. We'll get rid of all these. I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
How about choosing the colors?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, so let's use the same example of a natural shop. You have a natural shop. Maybe it's plant-based. You have this beautiful plant. We'll pretend this is a beautiful plant picture that you want to use in your banner. You want to make sure that everything has its own space. So if we were going to put text on top of a banner, we would want to make sure that it has enough breathing room so that it's not touching every single corner of the banner. So if we use this as an example, oops, let me drag this up here. Okay, perfect. If we make this the size of the banner, immediately it gets too busy. Regardless of whatever color you're going to make this, you could make this white and it's still going to look too busy. But if you give it some breathing room and maybe put it, a little closer towards the middle, then it's a little more legible. That said, we still can't read it because of the busy background, even if we change the color. This is an instance where you may want to put something behind the text to make it stand out, but still make it legible, still be able to see the background image, still be able to get the look and feel that you're going for without distracting too much. So if you're in the elements panel over here, you can search simple shapes like square. Literally any of these would work because we can change the color to whatever we want. Once you have the square there's an opacity up at the top here, which you can make it a little see-through, whatever you want to do, just so that you're not distracting from the background here.
And this is actually what you did with Fancy Nancy, right? Now that I look at it,
yeah,
the Fancy Nancy one, that's exactly what you did.
Yep. So you're still, and at this point, even if you change the text, it's still a little more readable than it was when we first started. So legibility is obviously huge when you want someone to remember your shop name, because if they can't read it, they're not going to remember it. The great thing about Canva, when you pull an image in, regardless of the image, it'll give you, when you open the color for your type or even your objects, it'll give you colors that they pull directly out of the image. So this, for example, is not black. It's almost green, but it's pulled directly from the image, so you know that it coordinates well. Sorry, I keep losing my color palette. This is, same green this obviously won't work on the white, but you get the idea. What else do I have for notes here?
Well, what about the fonts? Because I know that if I were to create a banner and put it on GoImagine with this font, you would reach through the screen and slap me.
So Canva has a wealth of fonts. The main thing is that it's legible. It's really trendy right now to use a script font. And I would say about 75, 80% of them that you can buy, download, whatever, are not legible at all. So if you're going to use a script font, use something that can easily be made out so that you can recognize every single letter. If there's a letter that you are questioning, there's a chance that almost everybody else will question it as well. And that will give you some legibility issues. When you're using more than one font, so for example, say we're going to use, we're going to add a tagline to this. Pairing fonts is also just as important as picking a font. When you use a script, you want to choose a tagline or a secondary font, we'll say, that is simple and to the point, so it doesn't conflict with the script font. If you are using a font that's big and bold, that's not a script font, you can get a little more fun with your tagline and maybe choose a script. Some of these are pro. You'll get that. I didn't pull fonts because I wasn't.
Well, that's okay. I mean, it's good to understand how to choose them. And you're right about legibility. I think I've seen people use cursive fonts. They look pretty, but it's hard to read what they say, right? And obviously legibility is arguably more important than
yes,
how pretty they are.
100%. So legibility will always trump aesthetics regardless of whatever you're designing. So if a customer can't read it, they're most likely not going to remember it.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're putting together the shop, and obviously this is the banner that we're putting together, and this banner would be perfect for, let's say, your regular GoImagine shop. But when you do go to MOSAIC and you have scrolling banners and further banners down, a lot of this is starting to build your brand, right? Because all the banners should stick with the same theme and match, right? I mean, Nancy's a perfect example of that.
So with Fancy Nancy, when you're doing more than one banner, it's a good idea to have something that carries through so that they all look consistent. So in this case, this glassy shape here carries through the rest of our banners. So when we scroll through, we're still using this glassy shape with the font from the Fancy Nancy logo. This font here becomes our secondary font when we're looking at headlines. But then they all look consistent. So it's still in this, here's the shape again, it's just, bigger.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's interesting. So that last one is actually the same shape. And
it's just blown up. Yep.
It's just zoomed in now, so you're not seeing the whole glassy image you used.
And it's the same with, the promo banners, it's the same thing. Since they're all going to be grouped together, you want to give them the same feel, all three of them the same feel, regardless that they're going to say different things or have different purposes. So
you'll see a lot of this on the homepage of our GoImagine website. When you scroll down and you see the images, we have a 3 in a row, and they're all very similar with different content.
Correct. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right there.
Yep. So anytime you're going to have something that's grouped together, you want to work on them as if they're all one piece, or so that you have similarities throughout the three, and it looks seamless regardless of where they're going or what the theme is for each image.
And one of the things that I've learned over the years, and I'm by no means a graphic person, but I've worked with a lot like you, is this all kind of starts from the brand and builds off of that, right? So what is your color palette for the brand? What are the fonts you choose for the brand? And then when you figure those out, you can then build all the graphics off of that. But if you go backwards, I imagine it'd be harder because you kind of want to figure out the brand for your color
Right.
and everything
It's
first, right?
really hard to stay consistent when you're just throwing things together as you need them. So if you have, when I start with any of my clients, I give them a questionnaire that basically states, it gets to the bottom of your brand. So there'll be questions like 5 words that you think describe your brand, 5, a color that you think describes your products. And that really helps you narrow down what you want to use for your brand in its entirety. Because a brand goes a lot further than a logo, which I think some people don't necessarily think of when they think of branding. They think I have a logo and I'm set. But if they start using, if their logo is red and they start using greens with all of their marketing and their banners, et cetera, there's going to be a little bit of a disconnect for the customer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you might get a customer that's just more distracted by your branding and not necessarily paying attention to your products.
Right. So because consistency matters, and figuring out that at the beginning is important because then you just can build off of it, I assume.
Yes.
And this is a great example here showing that knit sale and how all 3 are very similar, even though it's very different content for each of them.
Right. And this is a pretty standard layout for any promo banners. If you have, with promo banners, less text is more, even if you have to get the point across.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a line of text or you have to explain exactly what the button is, this bar across the bottom or even across the top works perfectly so that the text is readable and it's not distracted by whatever image you're using.
And one thing I think I've already learned here, which you were already doing in Canva, is kind of that trick of just zooming into the picture and it totally changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that right there. I mean, like, you've just taken a full picture and completely zoomed in, and it's created a really cool look from the background, even though you're not using the full image.
Yeah, and like I said before, you don't have to have. I don't want to say you don't have to have recognizable product in your banner if you are using product for your banner, but it almost gives a more unique feel to see a zoomed in image of product or a grouping of product from your shop versus 5 or 6 independent product shots, because the customer will see those when they scroll down further into your shop.
Yeah, I thought Jack Pine you showed a moment ago, that was a really good example of that, right?
Yes, this is perfect. So she sells cutting boards, but you don't know which cutting board this is up here. So it's also a good thing, like if she sells out of this cutting board and she used it, in her banner, do you have to change the banner out now? Or is a customer going to see that and think, oh, well, I want that one. Where is it? We don't have it anymore, kind of situation.
Right.
Yeah, this is another great one of a zoomed in product. You can obviously tell that that's jewelry. You can tell that they're earrings, but it just gives a nice feel to the shop. And then you can scroll down and see the full product.
It's interesting. That one, you see how she did exactly what you just suggested in adding a fuzzy, clear square above it, so it made it easier to read the name. Correct. Tagline. In all 3, whether it's this one, the Jack Pine, the Fancy Nancy, all of them, you're showing how the top line, that one's a little different, but the top line is one font, and then the other is another font, right? Yep. You're matching those 2 together. But staying consistent across all the banners in that case.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're playing with fonts, it's okay to have a font for your the remainder of your branding that is not the exact font used in your logo. So in this instance, this script font would be like a secondary font to your brand. It's not the same font that's used in the logo, but if we were to use them together like this, they pair well, and you're still getting the same feel because the tagline font here would be the same as your logo, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. And as you go through this, and then you also match the colors up within a mosaic, at least, as you can see with the free shipping here and all that, you can match the
You
color
can match, yep.
of all that as well. So that, again, it doesn't look like it's, I mean, unless your theme is a rainbow, it doesn't keep changing the colors everywhere you go.
And even with that, I would recommend, even if your entire theme was rainbowed everything, I would recommend keeping your logo and your main branding limited to 4 colors at the max, and then always have a version of your logo that you can use in one color. So if you needed to put your logo over an image that was a little busier than you would have liked, you have that option of using the one colored logo either in like a white or a black or one of your main brand colors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, going back into Canva, we talked about the main banner, and I know that we have in our help center a specific size for the banners we recommend. We also have the mobile size, right? So that so when it comes to mobile, it's more of a square than it is a rectangle, so it looks better on mobile. And then you have the other banners further down you can be more experimental with. Can you show again how, if I wanted to create a blank canvas, how I choose the size again? I might have missed that, but it's kind of like if you now wanted to create a second banner that was a different size, like the mobile one.
So from the Canva homepage, first of all, anything that you've done will show up down here at the bottom. Your last couple designs. I think at some point it limits it, so things at the end will drop off, but anything recent will be right here at the bottom. If you want to start fresh with a brand new canvas, right here on the right-hand side in this big purple header is a choose custom size, and you can type in the size, whatever size you want. I can't remember our mobile banner size. Let's just pretend it's.
Well, I think the best thing to do in this case is go to the help center, Steph. And let's check that. We've got a good help right here. We go. This was all planned for us to show you how. Oh, I forgot what that size was.
750 by 450. I had the 450 right.
And so these image guidelines that we offer is what we think works the best and looks the best. It doesn't mean you can't differentiate from it if you think there's something you have to do differently for your brand. But in the same breath, it's important to, keep things looking good both on mobile and on desktop, right? Because they're different size screens.
Yes. And in the instance of this, so we just made that banner, the desktop version of the banner. Anything we recently used will be right at the top here. So if we're going to make a second version of the same banner, we have the same images at our disposal really easy, which I think is a great feature of Canva.
Which is fantastic. And, for anyone who hasn't seen this, I mean, simply go to GoImagine on your computer and then go to GoImagine on your phone, and you're going to see the banners look very similar, but they are different banners in terms of size, simply because of the orientation of the screen.
And right, and for you guys, you would only have 2 banners if you had a MOSAIC shop.
Correct.
So the marketplace shop only gives you the desktop version of the banner, and it'll show on both mobile and desktop, but it won't necessarily be it's not necessarily optimized size wise for mobile. So your desktop banner will look a little smaller on a mobile device versus the MOSAIC shops where they have the option of uploading a mobile banner, so they can kind of dictate what their customer is seeing on a mobile device.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Steph, because you're correct. So the GoImagine shop, you have the one banner. In the MOSAIC, you have the creativity to add multiple banners and be a lot more into your brand because it's now your own private website. And for those who don't know too much about it, what you're seeing here is the ability to create 2 sites at once, right? The whole idea of GoImagine and MOSAIC is that you're building on the back end one site, but from the front end, you're getting a full private website, just like if you were building Wix or Shopify, and you're building your marketplace shop as if you're building your Etsy shop, and you're killing kind of two birds with one stone when you're designing all this out to fill out your goimagine seller dashboard.
Yep. There, we just made a version of the other banner.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty darn quick. Now, what about what would you recommend? So all of the banners, I should say all of them, the ones in MOSAIC, and I don't want to keep talking about MOSAIC, but this is where you're going to get a lot more creativity in Canva. They're clickable as well. Would you put a button on here if I wanted to say click here, shop now? You know, so it's now clickable to direct them?
You can. I personally am not a huge fan of buttons on banners. I feel like at this point, most people know to click a banner if the text says something like huge sale, but I could be wrong. I think it's just a preference thing. So I would think if you're someone that goes and doesn't know to click a banner, then put a button on your banner. There's a good chance that if you're that way, your customers will be that way. But I think at this point it's preference.
Okay.
I know you're a big fan of the button, John, which is why we have them on every single banner.
We do not have them on every banner. You're right. Maybe I don't need them anymore. So I've kind of derailed you because I've asked questions here and led you.
That's fine.
You can dive into anything else you want to see or want to show everyone, and we can maybe also go into some of the questions we have here.
I think that's it. I mean, if anyone has any questions while they're working on anything in Canva, feel free to tag me in the group or message me, and I can certainly try to troubleshoot. I don't use Canva every day. This is not my general design software, but for sure, it's something I can help you with if anybody has any questions.
All right. Well, there are two questions here that I want to ask. One comes from sorry, there's a few of them here. One, it doesn't say the name, but it says if you upload a logo and it's too large, how do you change it to fit the banner? So can you show an example of uploading something that's too big? And this might go in also talking about resolution, maybe, on the fact that if you upload something that is not a good resolution.
It could be. I'm assuming they're talking if you upload something in Canva and it's too large. How do you resize it? Is that or
yes.
Okay?
How do you upload logo? It's too large, and how do you change it to fit into the banner?
So these are logos I uploaded. Here's our goimagine logo. Once you upload it, you can just drag it onto the screen. There's these little boxes on the corners that you can resize however you want. If you uploaded something that's giant, it will probably come in, let's pretend it came in something like that. Down here at the bottom of your screen has a zoom in and zoom out. So if you zoom out all the way, you'll be able to, find the handles of the corners of the image and scale it down to however big you need it. So.
And in terms of like resolution or DPI, I mean, because again, I've just learned over time, if you upload something that's not a good resolution and try and resize it, it's going to look junky. What do you recommend?
So everything you're designing for on-screen use should be designed at 72 PPI. For print, it's 300 DPI or higher, depending on what you're printing, but the standard is 300, but the pixels on a screen simply won't capture all of that detail. So all that does is make the file size a lot larger and will make Bill scream because your file is so big.
Right. Yeah. So Bill is one of our developers, and when you upload really large files, it slows down the site. And I should say, if they're too big, like you're not gaining anything from being too big. It's just great speed problems.
And some people are under the impression that bigger is better, but in the sense of image resolution, it's really not going to get much better than 72 on a screen. So you might as well design for that so that you're not wasting file size, which will take a lot longer to upload, might take a lot longer to load on the page for a customer to view. It's probably a lot of time the reason that you guys are having upload issues when you're saying you're waiting and waiting and then it times out. It's most likely because the file is larger than it really needs to be.
Right. All right, wonderful. So the next question here comes from Donna Knox. She says, someone else created my banner and logo. Is there a way to use them through Canva? Now, I think she's saying, can we now upload and continue to alter it in Canva?
So most likely not. It would depend. Yes, you absolutely can upload your current banner to Canva. But you, depending on your file format, you most likely will not be able to edit it. So if it's a PNG or a JPEG, which I would guess someone giving you a banner, it would be, those, once they're saved, they're no longer editable.
All right, wonderful. We also have here Jessica Kelly, who I think Jessica is one of our newer sellers. The name looks familiar to me just recently. She asks, I have Nexus Knits, which is one of the new shops she's building on goimagine. And a question I have is, do you suggest having a different banner than the logo? So I'm thinking she's saying maybe, should you have the logo in the banner, or should the logo and banner be the same thing? When you think of a banner and a logo together, what would you recommend?
So this is a great reason to have a full logo and a logo mark. What I mean by that is, let me find. So for the green bead, the full logo would be this moon icon with her title. The logo mark would be the moon on its own. So in terms of a shop like this, where it's set up where you have like even on Etsy, the shop icon, that's a perfect spot for your logo mark. It doesn't necessarily have to be your full logo. I would recommend putting your full logo in your banner, so it's the first thing that people see when they enter your shop, and then something smaller like the logo mark or a simplified version of your logo in the logo area where your name and your info is.
Right.
That makes sense?
It does. Or I would just say you could do it in reverse if you wanted to as well, where maybe your logo is in the logo area and the mark with other text is in your banner. Right. And this, by the way, this is just my preference. I'm thinking through the fact of like, you don't want the exact same thing in both, essentially.
Right. I mean, if you did have the exact same in both, no one's gonna say, oh my God, that looks hideous. It's still gonna match. So if you only have one version of your logo, by all means, use it in both if you need to. I would recommend that if you do that you make sure that your logo is legible in the logo area, because it does get rather small in some situations. Like, I probably wouldn't put this entire long logo in the logo area, if that makes sense, because it's going to get a lot smaller. But I would say put your focal point on your banner versus the logo in the info area.
That's a good point. I mean, goimagine, our logo itself, we have a very horizontal logo, but we have the logo mark, which is just the heart. So you can very quickly.
And the difference between, your shop and our homepage is that the entire site is goimagine. So our logo will always be prominent, but you want your shop to feel like its own shop, regardless of our logo. So that's really, this banner area at the top is the perfect place to do that. If you don't have a MOSAIC shop, of course.
Yeah, and at the MOSAIC shop, you can get even more creative, right? But I think a lot of this advice applies to both, and it really comes down to building your brand. And if you look at the logo and the banner here for the green bead, you can almost think what a MOSAIC shop would look like built off this same brand, right? It would very much be similar. The banner would probably use, I already envisioned that kind of like wave. Is that glass on the bottom, kind of a glass look that's zoomed into, that being elsewhere on other banners,
Yep.
Well, this is wonderful. I know I've learned a lot. If there's any other questions, feel free to chime in here with anything else. The real goal here is to, teach our new users and also our long-term users just different ways to always try and improve upon your brand. And I think this goes even past your website. Lately we've been doing a lot of craft fairs at goimagine, where we're out on the road handing out cards, and your business cards should match your website. The banner behind your booth should match your website, right? You start to build your brand. And I think even in Canva, you can build logos that can be printed onto banners, right? They can be printed onto your craft fair banner.
Yep.
Right.
And Canva has, if you were going to do I believe they have business cards, resumes, postcards. They have a lot of the standard print sized items. So if you are going to, do your own card insert or your business card or whatever, you can do all of that within Canva as well. So it's not necessarily just for web.
Even like the little kind of postcards you put inside every box of shipment that has your information on it, right? Yep. This is where you really, as a business owner, start to build your brand. Even with the business cards, which, quick plug, you can buy the business cards on goimagine, but it would use your logo specific to what you're building on your website. And you really start to become a brand, and people start to recognize it. If someone sees you at a craft fair and then goes to your website, it's recognizable. So there is effort involved, but I think once you get that beginning stage down, what we just talked about, Steph, with deciding your color palette, deciding the fonts you use, and getting that logo done, the rest, to a degree, I don't want to say falls into place, but you just start to just do it everywhere with a similar look, and you can really build a brand quickly, I think, that way.
Yeah. And the more consistent you can be, the more recognizable you will be, which should, in theory, bring back repeat customers.
It will bring back repeat customers. So I hope everyone liked this. Is there anything else before we sign off tonight, Steph, that you think you might want to chime in with?
I don't think so. I feel like I talked super fast and a little all over the place. So if anyone does have questions, feel free to tag me or message me personally. I'm open to answering any questions you have.
I do want to mention before we sign off that oftentimes Steph will always critique me after webinars and say, you're all over the place and talk too fast.
This is what happens when I don't fully prepare and I take the John Lincoln method. I'll just wing it.
Winging it. What's wrong with the wing it method? I like the wing it method. I think it was tremendous, Steph. I think you're very knowledgeable, and I think we can even maybe do this again in 6 months just to kind of refresh people and kind of keep getting this message out there. Because at the end of the day, I think you all know we want to do what we can to help you become good business owners, good makers from the business side to sell more. And then the real case here is we want you to sell more because we want to give more to children in need. I say it in every webinar. That's why we're here. I think that's why this community is growing, is because while we're all trying to live our own lives and earning an income and taking care of our families, we certainly also can do that and do good in the world at the same time. And that's what this is all about. So I want to thank you all for being here. Steph Romke, it might be a little while till we see you in person again, but you will see her all the time in the Facebook group answering questions along with everyone else like Sandy, who you see here, and Shirley and everybody. So thank you, everybody. I want to say goodbye, Steph. Any last words of wisdom?
I think so. I think we covered everything. Do I need to be wisdom? Say wisdom?
No, not really. But you and I have very different personalities. All right. Thank you, everybody. I will see you in the group.
Bye, guys.
Bye.